On a warm summer day, the busy stretch of highway linking Victoria and Duncan is one of the most beautiful stretches of road in the province. On a winter day, the Malahat is not quite as spectacular, but drivers still wind their way through the turns and curves of the 24-kilometer-long highway. But the Malahat is also known as a highway where lives are lost. In 2011, there were 3 fatalities. That's why police on the South Island crack down on what they call dangerous driving on the highway, especially in the summer months where traffic increases by 60%.
I think they were very positive. I think we slowed vehicles down. We had 0 fatalities. And at the same time, we were able to take out some education from that and take some recommendations that we can now take to police services and see where we can go from here to make the Malahat safer.
It was a few months ago, but police are now able to say last summer's focused enforcement campaign on the Malahat was a success. And officers on the front line say being out there every day did make a difference.
Our enforcement officers on the road really saw a decrease in speeds and as a result of their violation tickets as well.
And a report into the 2-month campaign does come with some substantial recommendations, including using the latest technology and a dedicated team of officers to police that stretch of highway, something police say is a wish that is likely to go unfilled.
We would like to see a unit dedicated, obviously. However, having said that, we have to consider the big picture as to where the priorities are in other jurisdictions, what the fatality rates and the collision rates are in those areas, and take that into consideration.
Fast says it would cost more than $1 million a year for a dedicated team of 15 officers. Another option is to bring back photo radar, anything police say to reduce carnage on the highway.
I think if people went to the public and said, look, this is a tool, and that's basically what it is it's a tool that could be used in preventing death and injury to other people, I think people would, the majority of people would support that.
And for the chief of the Malahat Fire Department, whose team of volunteers respond to the sometimes gruesome crashes here on the highway, that means installing more barriers down the center of the road. There are some, but the chief says there are certain spots where the risks are higher for head-ons.
And we can't do anything, about what's happened in the past. But I think there's no question the last 2 fatalities that happened this past fall, really those collisions could have been avoided or been a lot less severe had there been centerline barriers. But I'm more concerned with the next 3 or 4 or 5.
And the call for more barriers down the center of the Malahat is growing. Groups like Riders for Safety forming because of safety concerns on the highway.
We really believe if there was a cost comparison analysis that was done between placing the concrete barriers, potentially having to widen the road in a few areas, and the actual costs that take place when a motor vehicle accident and a fatality takes place, really when you compare the two, we're pretty sure the cost is going to offset and we'd be able to place those concrete barriers.
And while Falconer says education, personal responsibility, and a dedicated team of officers patrolling the Malahat are all important, it's the barriers that will make the biggest difference.
The most recent fatalities were attributed to medical conditions, and no amount of education or enforcement could have prevented that split-second head-on from happening.
The province's transportation ministry is working on a safety review of the Malahat, and that report is expected to be released in the spring. Still, the chair of the CRD Traffic Safety Commission says government needs to do more.
Someone's going to have a very hard time explaining why there shouldn't be more centerline barriers. We shouldn't have to be clamoring to say there should be more. Someone should be put on the spot to have to explain why there aren't more.
Over the next couple of months, police in the province will be digesting the results of last year's Malahat campaign and looking at ways to improve on their efforts for this year. On the Malahat, I'm Nikki Ewanyshyn for The Daily.